Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to all our esteemed dignitaries, respectful faculty members, and our dear students. It is an indeed privilege to have you all here to come together to celebrate Engineers Day, a day dedicated to honor remarkable contribution of engineering to the society and a world at large. In India, Engineers Day is observed every year on 15 September in the memory of one of the greatest visionaries and engineers of our nation has ever seen, Sir Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya, Bharat Ratna awardee, stalwart at the field of engineering. Sir Visvesvaraya's pioneering work in flood control and irrigation reshaping of India's landscape and infrastructure. His life of legacy continues to inspire all the engineers across the generation. To commence this special occasion, I kindly request everyone to rise for the Vidyapeeth Geet, a tribute to knowledge, wisdom and learning.
करू निर्धार बनवूया सक्षम आपुला देश असा.
चला करू निर्धार बनवूया सक्षम आपुला देश असा.
ज्ञानाचे हे मंदिर फुले कौशल्याचा घेऊ वसा.
कौशल्याचा घेऊ वसा.
चला करू निर्धार बनवूया सक्षम आपुला देश असा. कसे घडावे जीवन आपुले यश आणि समृद्धीचे.
जाणून घेऊ तंत्रतयाचे ज्ञान आणि कौशल्याचे.
इतिहासाच्या पानावरती उमटवू आपुला फुले ठसा.
कौशल्याचा घेऊ वसा.
चला करू निर्धार बनवूया सक्षम आपुला देश असा. संशोधन अन नव्या कल्पना इथे स्फुराव्या आम्हाला.
उद्योजकता खोल रुजावी समर्थ आम्हा बनण्याला.
कर्तृत्वाने जगास दीपवू जिंकून घेऊ दाही दिशा.
कौशल्याचा घेऊ वसा.
चला करू निर्धार बनवूया सक्षम आपुला देश असा. ज्ञानाचे हे मंदिर फुले कौशल्याचा घेऊ वसा. कौशल्याचा घेऊ वसा.
कौशल्याचा घेऊ वसा.
कौशल्याचा घेऊ वसा.
सर्वं संभाव्यते त्वयि.
May I request all the dignitaries to proceed for the garlanding of the portrait of Sir Visvesvaraya. Ma'am, garlanding. Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya was born on September 15th, 1986 in the Kingdom of Mysore during the British rule. Visvesvaraya received his primary education in Bangalore and his bachelor degree in science and University of Madras. He earned a diploma in civil engineering from the College of Engineering, Pune. Sir Visvesvaraya has a remarkable contribution in the field of civil engineering. One of the significant contribution of Mokshadam Visvesvaraya as an engineer and designer was building the Krishnaraj Sagar Dam in Mysore. Sir M. Visvesvaraya played an essential role in planning, replanning the KRS dam and negotiating sanctioning of the project, finally building the dam. A memorial has been constructed for Visvesvaraya at his birthplace, Mundayal, as an accidental house. His home is turned into museum as awards, medals and title model of KZR Dam have designed and supervised construction of her personal belongings. As we move ahead to honor our distinguished guests who have graciously joined us today, I would like to invite Honorable Vice Chancellor of Maharashtra State Skills University, Professor Dr. Apoorva Palkar, to kindly felicitate the esteemed guests, Dr. V.G. Gaikar, sir, and Dr. Aditya Abhyankar, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for doing this honors. It is now my privilege to invite Honorable Vice Chancellor to share her thoughts and insight with us. Let us welcome her with a round of applause.
Good afternoon, esteemed guests today, Dr. Gaikar sir, Dr. Aditya Abhyankar, Talware sir, other faculty members, and my dear students. This is our second year of operation, and we've been celebrating Engineers Day because we understand that in our university, which is technologically driven university, we have roughly around 90% of the students who are in the engineering domain. We have roughly only 10% of the students in the other domains. And this day is very significant because it reminds us of none other than the father of engineering. And the father of engineering who was very innovative for his times. Somebody who was a civil engineer, and it is said that he was the first engineer of this country. And he is somebody who brought in the concept of irrigation in India. He was also conferred with Bharat Ratna later. But today, what is the context and how do we see Visvesvaraya ji in our lives? I think this is a time for all of us to understand what was done a few decades ago still holds good for every engineering graduate. And I believe that he thought of something which was innovative, which brought in the dam in Mysore that we speak of today. I'm sure everyone sitting in this room, since the day you joined the university, I've been only talking of one aspect. How do you innovate? How do you bring things which are new on the table as an engineering graduate? I was very impressed with somebody I met yesterday for breakfast. And this lady's name is Veena Sahajwala. She is a scientist, professor from the University of New South Wales, Australia, of Indian origin. She sits in Australia, and she's somebody who's been working on sustainability on green steels. So she's somebody who's brought on the table on how do we convert the waste into something which is very meaningful. She was talking of all aspects of waste yesterday. She's also talking of one important area, which is the electronic waste. Today, the whole world is grappling with the problem of electronic waste. And what could really be done to convert it into something which is meaningful. And that is what brings us to the aspect of circular economy, which means whatever we use, we reuse it and develop an economy, and which is also green economy. So these are the concepts on which people are working today. She's also working on the concept of a micro factory, where she said that there is no need for us to scout for things which don't exist. In fact, when she spoke of the aspect of green steel, how do we try and replace the coke with the used tires and reprocessing the used tires for the use of steel is what she has invented. I'm sure there are many innovations that are happening around us. As engineering students, I'm sure you will be able to think of 550 new areas, probably every semester, that you may want to think on, work on, innovate on, experiment on, and probably write on and bring it on the surface. That is the reminder of today's day. And I think we have two very eminent experts here. We have Dr. V.G. Gaikar, who is the former Vice Chancellor of DBATU, which is he's the first founder of that university, which is the Technical University of the state of Maharashtra. Besides that, he is a chemical engineer from the University Department of Chemical Technology, which is known as ICT University today. Eminent professor there. And I have known him as a great thinker and an innovator. I had the fortune of sitting with him to assess a lot of research proposals of all public universities of the state of Maharashtra. And probably somebody I could think of to speak to you today was Dr. Gaikar. And therefore, we invited Sir to come and speak to you today on this auspicious day of the Engineers' Day, as we call it. The second esteemed speaker we have is Aditya Abhyankar. Professor Abhyankar is an authority in the space of technology, information technology. He's one of the youngest researchers with maximum number of patents in the University of Pune. The university's, Pune University's name and ranking that you have seen is thanks to him, that he brought in so many patents, engagements with more than 60 industries in Pune. And he's a young man. I think you will like him more than me and Gaikar sir. So age is onto his side, and I'm sure he is an authority on the subject of information technology, data science, AI, ML. All these are the things that he speaks of. He studied in the United States. He did his PhD there, but he decided to come back to India and serve in a university in India. Besides that, he's a versatile personality. I was telling this to the second year engineering students yesterday, that he's an authority on his speeches on various subjects which have social relevance. And we are going to invite him to speak to us on the subject of Shivaji and skills in engineering is another topic that we will definitely invite you to come and speak to our students. He's also a great kirtankar. So I don't know how he manages his time to do so many things under the sun, and I see him working all the time in the university. We're happy and fortunate that both of them have agreed to come here without taking much of your time and expecting my students to take the maximum benefit of this session that we're going to be having today, the technical session that we're going to be having today from both of them, a little bit of gyan from them, a little bit of information from them, and probably a connection that I'm making for all of you sitting in this room with two great people who will help you sail through in your future life. I welcome everyone today to the head office and into this room. First year students, you have come to this room for the first time. I welcome you to the head office today, and I wish that you become great engineers in times to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It is a distinct honor to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Vilas Gaikar sir. Gaikar sir is the former Vice Chancellor of Batu Loneri, and his expertise in biodiesel and thermochemical conversion of biomass, process intensification, soft condensation matter, reactive absorption, molecular designing, and functional polymerism. Till date, he has supervised 49 PhD scholars, 79 master theses, and 2 postdoctoral fellows. Sir has 183 research publication and a good at 11 patent at his name. May I now invite Gaikar sir to address the gathering.
First of all, good afternoon to all of you. And I'm sure that you have had wonderful morning today, kept you busy. Kept your Vice Chancellor also very busy. And I must thank Dr. Palkar for inviting me today here to address you. Now, I have been teacher, and typically when you get a mic in the hands of a teacher, he doesn't stop at least for 45 minutes. And for me, I have a habit of giving lectures at least for 2 hours. But I'll try to make this address as simple, as short as possible. I would like to start with the story. Imagine we have a train which is moving at the breakneck speed somewhere in the middle of this country, and suddenly a man which is sleeping on his bed, he just gets up and pulls down the chain. You know, we normally seen these kinds of incidences when you know that your train is very close to your village or home and you want to get down wherever you want to, right? Just pull it down. So, obviously, the train stopped, and then the question came, who pulled the chain? And the people came down to the compartment where this man was very agitated. Because he was asked a question, why did you pull the chain? Because it was the middle of the night, somewhere, a very obscure place. And then he said that, please stop the train. I don't want this train to go ahead. Because he said there's something wrong with the track ahead. Now people will saying that you're like a fool. You know, how do you know that something has happened well ahead somewhere? The man who pulled down the chain was Sir MV, the Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya. In the middle of the night, sleeping man gets up, pulls down the chain. What do you call him? He says that there is something wrong with the track ahead. That's the kind of an expertise that one expects when you become engineer. He can listen only to the sound of the train running on the track and says there is something wrong with the track. And indeed, they found the track was broken just few meters away where the train has stopped. That is what we call as a dedication. Sir MV, he is very famously known by this initials, MV, was such a man, dedicated to his profession. His commitment was undisputed. He actually took retirement. Initially he was known for his engineering expertise, particularly civil engineering. By the way, he is a civil engineer from College of Engineering, Pune. Our Punya Nagari, the College of Engineering today, which has now become the university, he is alumnus of that. And of course, he went abroad, took very special training, particularly for the civil engineering and the dam building. When he took over as a Dewan of Mysore state, at that time it was a Krishnaraya Wadiyar who actually brought him to his state. Before that, he spent about a couple of years in Nizam, the Hyderabad. But his golden period of contribution actually comes from his work in the Mysore state. At that time, it was a Mysore state. But probably very few of will know that the Pune's Khadakwasla dam also is his design. But his major contribution, not only in building dams, the Krishnaraya Sagar was the dam which he built, and it was very well known over the Kaveri River. And then he also built several other industries. Of course, we all consider him to be only civil engineer. But his contribution in other areas, including steel, he was the first one to start the steel industries, even in Mysore then. He started even the colleges. Now today, of course, we have only very few institutions named after him. One is a VIT in Nagpur, and of course the Visvesvaraya Institute of the Technological University of the Karnataka state is also named after him. It is a very, very rare to have his name associated with any of the institutions. You will not find any of the bridges which he built has his name on it. People build bridges to keep, if not their name, the ancestors' name. And you see all over the country how many bridges are named after whom. But you will rarely find the so-called father of engineering. We always say he is the first engineer because the civil engineering contribution that he made. We rarely find any of the bridges named after him. The dedication comes only from what you do. In fact, he himself had said many times, in fact, when I quote him, he said that even suppose your job is to clean, suppose a railway crossing, in his own word, but do it in such a way that it is the only type in the world of that cleanliness. So the dedication comes by understanding what you are doing. There are some qualities which I admire in a person like him. One is the commitment to his profession. Second, the sincerity. The sincerity is like doing something for the society. In the first half of his life, you see his contribution only as engineer. But his contribution as a statesman comes much, much later. And he was, of course, he got a Bharat Ratna in 1957 or so. And when that award was given, he said to the then Prime Minister that I will accept this award provided you allow me to continue to criticize you if I don't agree with your decisions. It's very rare to see a policymaker telling a topmost person in the administration saying that if I don't agree with you, I will tell you. So getting an award from you doesn't mean I will keep my mouth shut. If I disagree, I will disagree. He has also quoted that the only way a country can prosper is because of the education and skills. All of you guys, you have got yourself admitted into even say engineering courses in this university. We get educated only by passing examination. At least that is what our understanding is. But the basic concept of the education is to have skill. And that is the reason why I call this is the skills university. Remember that. You need to also understand that the passing examination doesn't give you the skill. Engineering builds on science. It's not something that you just do at home and we say, okay, this is my engineering. Engineering is doing it. Doing something which is probably not even existing. Doing something which is new. It's not only something which is using. Technology users is like what you use your mobile for sending the messages or forwarding the videos. That is not a skill. That is still a skill. Operating your mobile, I know that one can sit in the classroom looking at the teacher and you can still send the messages to your friends. That is still a skill. But the skill is something which adds a value to you. And what's the value means to you? Value means to you means somebody says that I want this student, I want this candidate because his skill is useful to me. That's an appreciation. So when you want to go out, of course you will be now doing this over next 4 years if you have just joined. In the second year you'll have 2 more years to go. You try to see every day what skills are added to you, which will be valued by others. You can always tom yourself and I am so good in this. Skill is something that you can do with keeping your eyes closed. That's a skill. I'll just give an example. When you started riding a bicycle, you didn't do it on the very first day. But as you went on through that process, you became so good in that you will try to then have those heroics like keeping your hands out of the handle and still drive it. That becomes a skill. Can you do the same thing that every day that you do as engineer? It may be solving a problem. Remember, wherever you complain is where the problem is for solution. Somebody looking for a solution. If you are raising some issue, this is not happening, that is not happening, that's where opportunities are lying. So as engineers, what is expected that you will look for those opportunities, problems which are not solved by others. You will have many other people, 99% people will complain. Only 1% will say, I know how to solve it. That becomes your skill. When we talk about under NEP, people who are in the education field, we put these skills into different levels. The level 1 is one which you remember, you recall, and then you can write it down. Just the way you in examination, some question comes, and if you know the answers, that similar question, if it was answered earlier, you just reproduce it. That becomes a recall, remembering. The second question comes, or second level of knowledge or a skill is your understanding. And probably you will realize that if you understand, you don't have to remember everything. The third level of knowledge is applying. That's where engineering comes. If I know a principle, a scientific principle, and you can apply it, you start becoming engineer. The next level of knowledge is analyzing. Still further, of course, this is the level you will reach to, when probably you will reach to somewhere about your final year. And then you become a creator. That is the highest level of the skill which is acknowledged. That you can create something new. Now the creation comes from the necessity. If you feel the need of something, that is the origin of doing something new. But it's also possible to do something which you have not even thought about earlier, or nobody else has thought about it earlier. I always give an example of Steve Jobs. When the iPhone came, very first time, sometime 2005, 2006, nobody knew before that how the phone could be. And there you have something which you can touch with the screen and it changes. A pinch and the expanding it just by your touch. We never had thought about this. Remember, we came from older area. You remember the millennium, 2000 onward. Half of the life had actually before that. And I come from the era where we had not seen even the calculators in the first year of engineering. We used to do the calculation as a slide rule and even the log tables. So only when I went into the second year, we saw the calculator for the first time, and those were not easily available. not manufactured in India. They are all imported. And my first calculator I purchased from here Fords, in the Ford that, all those lanes, and it was not easily available in the market. So it was like an imported, smuggled material. At that time, it was 600 rupees, very princely sum at that time. 600 rupees was salary of my father. It wasn't easy to buy the calculator at that time. Today, you have a computer, not a calculator, not just a phone. You have a very powerful computer in your pocket. And what do you use it for? Talk and chat. You see how underutilized the capacity of that processor is. You call it an octa processor, 6 GB RAM, and then you have the additional the memory added to that. How do you really make use of it? Now, for us, using a calculator or using a computational capability is something that we will have to now tell you how to do it. So you'll have to go beyond the skill of just operating and the chatting and the writing the messages to open it up. I always give an example. What you do with your old phone, you simply give away. You get about a few hundred, maybe 1,000 rupees extra as a discount in a new phone that you purchase. Have you ever tried to open it? Of course, now the new phones come that you can't open it. At one time, at least we had an ability, at least the phones used to come where you used to change its battery. Today, you don't even have that the facility available to you. But it is worthwhile to even go back and look at how it is done. When you're operating, whether it's even some of the softwares like MATLAB and Aspen, we are only users of technology. If you really want to become or make this institution like the Skill University and the country proud of you, what you need to do is get out of that mindset. We are not just going to restrict ourselves to be user of technology. We should become the creator of the technology. I must tell you some of the earlier history. History is something that teaches you a lot many things. We talked about the Krishnaraya Sagar Dam, which was built by Sir Visvesvaraya. But building dams and having irrigation system in Indian conditions or Indian civilization goes back in ancient times. We had, when the Europe didn't even have a concept of hygiene, we had in Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, we still talk about that there was a proper drainage system. And don't forget, the entire Chola Empire, which was there in the south, had built that block irrigation type of systems, which was later on used by Sir Visvesvaraya very routinely in all his works. There's a lot many things that we can learn from our history as well. History is not just only for, as I said, remembering the dates and the numbers. History teaches a lot many things to us. I'm repeating here a statement which was made by Lord Macaulay well before even the independence struggle started. He had commented on the Indian education system. And he said that if we want to make or if we want to rule this country, the only way we can rule this country is breaking down its education system. And unfortunately, that has become a norm for us even after independence. Even today, we have a similar kind of education system. We need to break away from these old ways of saying passing examination becomes or makes you ready for a job. You can be ready for the job only when you have some skill. A skill which is appreciated by others, which has a value which has been added to you. And that is where I think this university is making a big beginning, changing the entire education system, giving you a real-time expert experience, working with people, with having the knowledge of that particular field. And you are really fortunate. If I look at the entire technological developments in the last 20 years, it's a very fast pace of change. The technology is changing so fast, sometimes we are getting overwhelmed by the changes. And you can see suddenly every few years, if not every year, at least every few years, something happens which can bring the disruption in their entire economy. I'll give you a classical business disruption which was brought in India somewhere about 2005, 2006. Before that, your mobile phones. Whenever we used to go home, I used to keep the mobile shut and keep it away because there was a landline. Why? Because a mobile phone, one call used to cost me 2 rupees for a minute. I don't know how many of you remember this. That was changed as a business disruption when Reliance came with that 1 paisa per second. And you will see these kind of disruptions every time. It will happen in your lifetime as well. We are seeing this disruption significantly. Because I had seen personally the changes which have happened right from 8086 units, right up to 80, then 88. Then we have those Pentiums. And now we stopped even counting which number, what is the i5, i7, i9 processors. What was one time just 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, now suddenly say, is there a 6G as well? That's coming up. So imagine that the technology is always going to change. That it means what was there, probably what you're studying today, by the time you graduate, something else would have come. Everybody, remember that the way we talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning, 10 years ago, we were talking about artificial intelligence in 80s. We used to prepare small programs. At that time, it was Prolog. It was very small, the small programs developing the expert systems. But the changes and the development which have taken place in the computer science and the way this miniaturization has now reached to the very larger scale of miniaturization of integrated circuits, now you suddenly find entirely new computational fields, the areas are coming up. The days will not be far when we are talking about the quantum computing sitting with you. All right, maybe your mobile phones becomes now AI enhanced. Already started, right? iPhone 6, you're talking 16. Already AI enhanced. AI is going to be part of your life. Take it for granted. No matter whether you want it or don't want it. So it's better to join that field. Better to improve yourself. Join and improve that skill. Whether you talk about the robotics, whether you talk about those drones are going to be everywhere, including defense. You can see those wars which are going on. War is something which is also important many times. Because war can make the economy better after the war is over. That's exactly what happened during the Second World War. Entire computing, all field, computer science, it was there even before. But it got a major fillip, the Manhattan Project as we call it, happened because of the Second World War. So war destroys on one side economy, on the other hand it can build the new technologies as well. So tomorrow's the wars will be entirely on technology based. Now you might even fight for the technology. That's why US says that we don't want to give chips to India and China. Wars will be fought for technology. And let me tell you, technology developments elsewhere can have sometimes very adverse effect on us if we are not in the same area. I'll give one example which happened 150 years ago. Not very recent one. There was a guy called Perkins. Very young age, just a 15, 16. And he started doing research in one of the chemical laboratory that happened in UK. Now, the name was Perkins, and he was working on anti-malaria drug. All of you are familiar that if you have the malaria, you take that quinine drug. At one time, quinine used to come only from the natural sources. Now, he was the organic chemist. He started in a very big way in that period, and he was interested in developing a synthetic quinine. And one day, just like after end of week, somewhere about Friday, when the day ends, you want to leave everything there and go for party. This man left whatever work was he doing, he just left it there, went home. When he came back on Sunday, he started washing it. And what he realized that the wash had built a color, purple. indigo color. Purple color, the indigo color was only coming from natural materials, then from India's Bihar, now Bihar. It was natural, it was one of the most expensive indigo dye, most expensive dye in the world. So much so that those emperors that we talk about, Mughal emperors, they used to have color indigo, only the emperors could afford it. So was the case on the royalty in Europe as well. And suddenly this man comes up with a dye that he can synthesize in his lab. And that changed the entire industry of dyes. No more it was obtained from India. What happened, the effect of that? Technology development there had destroyed the entire indigo industry in India. We should be aware about the effect of changes happening elsewhere and how to make use of them for us, but at the same time, why we can't do the same change here. That is where the nation building starts. Today we talk about Sir Visvesvaraya because he had that vision. He had that vision of building the nation. He had the vision for building the agrochemical industry. He had the vision for building the entire agricultural new practices. He was the one who emphasized on the building of heavy industries in India. And he built those industries on his own. All his contribution. Today we require to still acknowledge it, because I'm sure that not many of you have even read his biography. It's worthwhile to spend some time, if when you go today at home, and you can probably think about this. If that man can do it, why can't I? We may not do everything what he did, but maybe a part of that, a fraction of it. So time is for you as well. Every day when you go home, you can think about this. Did I add a value? Did I add a new skill to myself? Something which will be valued by others? And that's where your true earning will start. You need to get, first of all, impressed by yourself. You have a lot of capabilities. Only thing is, we need to start using them. And you have an access to information at your fingertips. You want any information, Google it, you get it. Only when you convert that information to knowledge and apply, that's where you start learning. So I leave this to you to be a part of this development. Become a part of this development and make your own life. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaikar sir, for your enlightening and thought-provoking address. We are truly grateful for your presence and word of vision. Up next, we are honored to have Dr. Aditya Abhyankar sir. Dr. Aditya Abhyankar sir has accomplished academician, research, currently serving as a Dean and the Faculty of Technology and Professor of Department of Technology at Savitribai Phule University. He holds multiple advanced degrees, including PhD in Electrical and Computer Engineering from Clarkson University, USA, and pursuing second PhD in Sanskrit. With an expertise area in a pattern-like recognition and signal processing and biometric system, he has contributed significantly with both academic and industry. Dr. Abhyankar has a strong research background with several international journals, articles, patents, and invited talk to his name. He has guided numerous doctorals and master's students in various national level initiatives. Dr. Abhyankar has consulted reputed industries and contributed to the Aadhaar project in India. He has also holds a leadership position in 2 startups involved like RUSA to promote the innovative research and business incubation. Dr. Abhyankar sir is a thoughtful reader in the world of technology education, and we are eager to hear his insights. Please welcome him with applause, and he delivers the keynote here.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. chief guest of today's event, Honorable Dr. Gaikar sir. It was a matter of honor and privilege both to listen to you, sir. Thank you so very much. Honorable Vice Chancellor of this very prestigious university, Dr. Apoorva Palkar ma'am. Thank you so very much, ma'am, for inviting me and making me part of today's celebrations. My very dear friend and the Registrar of this university, Dr. Talware sir. Thank you once again, sir. Really appreciate this opportunity. All the respected faculty members, and most importantly, all the young dynamic budding engineers in this room. The post-lunch sessions are always very interesting sessions. कधी डोळा लागेल काय सांगता येत नाही. But I will try and keep this as short as possible. And in fact, what I would like to do is build on top of what Dr. Gaikar said. The foundation is set, and I fully agree with him that we had a very powerful educational system. And the educational patterns that we had in our country, they were so complete. And that's why, again, this is on a lighter vein. I always say that what we had was Gurukul system. And what we have now is Kula Guru system, which is 110 degree out of phase. But when you have a very dynamic Kula Guru, like Dr. Palkar ma'am, it's a different story altogether. What is the spirit of engineering? Engineers, we solve problems. And for solving the problems, it's important to understand the nature of the problem. And for that, it's very important to ask interesting questions. So at the heart and core of engineering is inquisitiveness and curiosity. And that's why I always say that research is heart and core of engineering. A good engineer is also a good researcher. And what I mean by a researcher is not strictly a researcher in academic sense. The research that we do in academics that gives us master's degrees and PhD degrees, and we publish papers and we get patents in our names, not that kind of research. But what I mean by research is ability to ask searching questions, not accept the things blindly and start walking your own sweet path. And do we really have research culture? And the answer of this question is not very encouraging, unfortunately. And again, I will take clue from Dr. Gaikar's speech that what Macaulay gave us is a very unfortunate thing. The British education system that was imposed upon us, the Brits, they only wanted to create clerks out of it. They never wanted to have thinking and creative manpower. And that's why what we do in our schools is predominantly memorize and reproduce it at the time of examination. And those students who are good at this skill to memorize and reproduce, they excel in schools. And in schools, we have scholarship programs. And do you know what is the dictionary meaning of this word scholar? Vyasangi, a person who is well read. And a scholar may not be, I am saying may not be, he or she also could be, but may not be an innovator, a creative mind. And are we providing enough opportunities for students who are not strictly scholar, but they are bright, they are brilliant, they are innovative? And again, the answer of this question is not very encouraging. And that's predominantly because of the British education system that was imposed upon us. And we do so much of memorization. I will tell you a funny story. And this is not a made up story. I was in 10th standard and this has happened with me. When I was in 10th standard in mathematics, there were 10 chapters and the last chapter was on share market. And there were 8 sums and we were told that out of 8, one would definitely appear in the board examination, for good 15 to 20 marks. So all the students, they had mugged up all the 8 sums. And in one of the examples, the example was Ram and Shyam owns XYZ Private Limited company, and then the distribution of the shares and the rest of the things were given. In the examination, exactly same question came. The only difference was the start was different. It said Sita and Geeta owns XYZ Private Limited company, and then the rest of the problem was verbatim. Believe me or not, more than 99% of the students, they wrote that the problem is incorrect. XYZ Private Limited is not owned by Sita and Geeta, it's owned by Ram and Shyam. Please go back and check your facts. So that's what sometimes memorization can do to us. And there is a beautiful saying by Mark Twain wherein he says, I was born intelligent and then I got educated. It is so unfortunate. And memorization is good. तुमचे पाडे पाठ असतील तर fantastic. 17 सख्खम दुग्गोदर से, very good. But only to an extent. After that starts conceptualization, comprehension. And unless we really get into the conceptual understanding of the things, it's very difficult to create a good engineer. You might say that, is it that bad? And I want my audience to be with me. So I will share a few teasers with you. You think about it and then tell me whether you agree with me or not. The moment we get up, we are interested in figuring out what day and what date it is. And what time is it? Have you ever thought about this? That why do we have 60 seconds in a minute? What is so special about 60? And why 60 minutes in an hour? We all understand decimal system well. Is it not easier to have 10 seconds or 100 seconds in a minute? What is so special about 60? It is so clumsy. 12 5s are 60 and the clock has to be divided like that. It is so difficult. Instead of that, if you have 100 seconds in a minute and 100 minutes in an hour, it would be much easy. Don't you think so? What is so special about 60? But we never get to think about such kind of things. I will tell you one more teaser. We start our calendar in the month of January, and suddenly February, which is the second month of our calendar, we stumble upon with odd number of days. And have you ever thought why? For all other months we have either 30 or 31 days, and suddenly in the month of February we stumble upon with 28, or if you are in leap year, 29 days. Is it not really strange? Let's play a game. I work in the field of machine learning, and we write algorithms which are iterative. And we say iteration after iteration, the algorithm marches on towards optimum solution. So there is this popular saying in English, they say march on towards something. In army, they also sing marching songs. They never say January on, do they? So let's play a game. Let March be the first month of our new calendar system, and then April, and then May. And as it continues, as we are in the 7th month, do you know what is 7 in Sanskrit? Sapta. And from Sapta, we get also work towards figuring out the answers by yourself, or you can form a group. And I think there is going to be inaugural of few clubs. So these clubs will also give you such opportunities wherein like-minded engineers can come together, ask interesting questions, and think through what could be the possible answers. This is the spirit of engineering, in my opinion. The best part about research is, in research, no question, no inquiry is a stupid question. Every question has its own sweet potential, and you can get rid of any and every kind of shackle. And that's the best part about being a researcher. If you don't do this, then the impact is not limited only to all of us at individual level. The impact is going to happen at national level. Majority of you will end up working in IT sector. And if I ask you, which is the biggest IT company of Indian origin, what is the answer of this question? Anyone? Infosys is second largest and the biggest is TCS, and TCS stands for, it's not tea, coffee, snacks. It stands for Tata Consultancy Services. So very openly we are saying that we are predominantly into providing services, and service sector is so dominant in our country. From services to solutions to tools to frameworks to applications and finally into products, it's a long journey. And if we really want to have product companies in our country, it's important to have research culture. It's important that our engineers, they should ask interesting searching questions. Only then we'll be able to follow the footsteps of the great Sir Visvesvaraya. I will give you a couple of funny incidences and then probably I will stop. I was pursuing my masters at MIT and we had tie-up with Google in those days. I am talking about 2000, 2001. And I got my opportunity to do my summer internship at Google. Google was not this big in those days, and I went to Seattle, and what I saw was a sprawling campus of more than 500 acres. There were some 68 buildings, every single building was 7-floored, and there were human resource like you and me in just one out of 68 buildings. In the remaining 67 odd buildings, they had state-of-the-art servers and they were crunching the data in and out from across the globe. And I simply could not understand their business model, because what I saw was trillions of dollars of investment, so many servers, sophisticated setups, and what was the product that emerged out of Google as a company? Google.com, a harmless platonic search engine. There were no irritating pop-up advertisements. Google was also not news dissemination portal like Rediff or Yahoo or Hotmail. Initially, they also did not have Gmails. They started Gmails only by invitation, and probably today all of us, we have Gmail accounts. So Google never had such business models. No pop-up advertisements, no news dissemination. It was pure search engine, apparently free, because you don't need to pay 1 rupee or $1 what can happen. And that's why as engineers, we also hold huge responsibility to use it constructively. And people were searching about it frantically on Google, and they did not find anything. That's because Google was not fed live in 2001. Immediately in 2002, Google introduced Google Live. In 2004, they introduced comprehensive search. So if you just type in Dr. Gaikar, you will get to know everything about Dr. Gaikar, his papers, his patents, his tenure as an academician. Comprehensive search. In 2007, they leveraged upon already existing concept of IoT, Internet of Things. In 2009, they announced that they are shifting from smart grids to semi-smart grids. In 2011, they introduced the concept of intelligent frameworks. Now our frameworks are intelligent, no more smart or semi-smart, but truly intelligent. And finally, in 2015-16, they announced that we are living in an era of big data analytics. Data which is truly big in terms of volume, variety, velocity, and also the fourth V. And they literally transformed the world. And today, Google literally knows everything about every one of us. Apli kundali Google kade aste. Where do you live? Where do you stay? Where do you work? where do you study, what path you take to reach your workplace every single day from your home, because we all use Google Maps. All the giant databases, cheaptickets.com, yatra.com, book my show, it's all linked with Google. Google knows your buying patterns, Google knows your movie preferences, Google knows your preferred destinations with family, for business. Google literally knows everything about every one of us. And that's why we say gone are the days when peers, they used to ask their colleagues, and children, they used to ask their parents, and students, they used to ask their professors. Now for all of us, our best friend is Google, so much so that it has become a verb in English. We say Google it. And that's why, just like before Christ, we say before Google and after Google. It has changed the dynamics completely. For example, if you start a fabrication shop, you all are going to become engineers and you will also acquire beautiful skill sets. Let's say you open up a fabrication shop, and gone are the days, in the olden golden days, we used to do Satyanarayan Puja and invite our friends and relatives. 50% of that was the puja aspect, and the 50% was mouth to mouth publicity, so that people will talk about it and many people will get to know about it. Now we are in the era of e-Satyanarayan. Forget about others, Google should know about it, because everybody is going to ask Google that what is the best fabrication shop in this area, and Google should retrieve back your name. And there is a concept of SEO, as we all know, sir, for this competition, and the subject was not declared a priori for this competition, and the subject was not declared a priori. And on the spot, the organizers, they declared the subject that it is patriotism, Rashtra Bhakti. And students were just looking around, and then one student came up with this idea. He showed a tricolor flag, 3 steps, a very typical drawing, and 2 Jawans doing a salute to that flag. I was taking a stroll around, and after half an hour or so, more than 98% of the students, they were drawing same picture. I am not saying similar picture. I was literally searching for the 4th or the 5th. There were exactly 3 steps. I was searching for 1 or 3 or 4 Jawans. There were exactly 2 Jawans. So exact replica of the original drawing. That's what many times happens to us. And you can think about it in your minds. So if anybody asks you, what will you do after 12th? Many times we look at our friend and then we ask our friend, Kai karuya, what should we do? And it's important to discuss with your peers and with experts in the field, but it's extremely important to figure out what excites you, because you are going to invest 4 years of your life, most energetic 4 years of your life doing engineering, and that's why it's very important that we should know what we are going to do for these 4 years. These 4 years are going to be extremely important for you, and if you don't get into this habit of research, it's very difficult to carve out differentiating characteristics. And that's my last point that I will discuss with you, and then probably I will stop. It's important to have differentiating characteristics, without which you will not get noticed. Just imagine the numbers. How many institutes do we have? And we had created a parody. Again, it's a parody. So me and a very dear friend of mine, Dr. Deepak, we both had created this parody. Don't take it too seriously. It's a parody. In 1971, there was a movie that broke the horizon. The name of the movie was Bandhan. So very nice family drama, and the hero of this movie was Jitendra. So for the younger generation, Jitendra is father of Tushar Kapoor and Ekta Kapoor. And in one of the scenes in that movie, the hero comes running back home and says, "Ma, मैं BA pass हो गया. Now I am Bachelor of Arts." and the mother's role was played by veteran actress Durga Khote. So the mother becomes so happy that instantly she cooks gajjar ka halwa, because in 1971 passing BA degree was equivalent to settling down in life. It was equivalent to getting passport for getting married to the heroine of the movie and doing rest of the things. Now if they make a remake of this movie in 2024, and they will, right, because they have ran out of good ideas, so they are remaking all the olden golden movies. And in 2024, let's say Ekta Kapoor produces this movie. So the name of the movie has to be Kandhan, it has to start with K. And being a good sister, if she offers the lead role to her brother, so Tushar Kapoor plays the lead role. And unfortunately we lost Reema Lagoo, but nowadays Madhuri Dixit has started playing mother. So let's say Madhuri Dixit is the mother. And in one of the scenes, the hero comes running back home and says, "Ma, मैं BTech pass हो गया from Maharashtra State Skills University, one of the best universities in the country. No gajjar ka halwa." In 2024, we are talking about smart cities and smartphones, so super intelligent mothers. No gajjar ka halwa. The first question will be, campus hua kya? And if the hero says, "हाँ माँ हो गया," still no gajjar ka halwa. The next question will be, salary कितनी है, package कितना है? And if the hero says, अच्छा package मिला है, it's a multinational company, still no gajjar ka halwa. What are your plans for higher education? GRE, GATE, MAT, FAT, ZAT, and it continues forever. And that's because, just imagine, in 2024, how many universities, how many colleges do we have in our country? I will give you example of only Savitribai Phule Pune University, where 7.5 lakh students, they graduate every single year. Dar varshi 7.5 lakh only from SPPU. Now just imagine how many universities do we have in our country and how many graduates do we produce. And unless you have differentiating characteristics. So by differentiating characteristics, I mean your own style of thinking, your own perspective, your own ability to analyze anything in your own way, in your own style. And if you don't have that, it's very difficult that the recruiters, they will notice you. And that's why if you really want to stand out in this market, as they say, there is literally rat race out there in the professional world, and that's why it's important to have differentiating characteristics. I truly wish that you will all develop your own style and will carve out that differentiating characteristics. I honestly and genuinely believe that majority of the inventions, majority of the discoveries, they are and the inquisitiveness in you to die out, and by virtue of doing so, you will start seeing your path, and once you do that, you will start walking that path, and then many sweet scientific, technological accidents are then bound to happen. Have you ever imagined what the great Ramanujan wrote to mathematicians across the globe? He wrote that 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 is equal to what? And we all will think that it goes all the way up to infinity. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 goes all the way up to infinity, and it's addition. So it will be equal to what? Infinity, isn't it? And Ramanujan wrote, no, it's minus 1 over 12, minus 1 upon 12. And people thought that he was being crazy. And today we know that there is a very interesting hypothesis, it's called Riemann's hypothesis, and a very special case of Riemann's hypothesis, when you plug in zeta value to be equal to minus 1, that actually gives you this postulate that 1 plus 2 plus 3 going all the way up to infinity actually is approximately equal to minus 1 over 12. And this was used in the recent If we don't have thinking manpower, what can happen? It's extremely dangerous. Before the British came, before the invasions, down south, we had a very powerful capital city in form of Mysore. And later on, it got shifted to Bangalore, which has now become Bengaluru. Now, Bangalore is the only city, for any city to grow and prosper, you have to have river right next to that city. For example, look at Melbourne, there is Yarra River right next to it. Look at London, any big city, you have river right next to it. Pune, it's so fortunate. Should I also remove this? Next to Bangalore, and that's why 4 states are fighting over Kaveri issue. Who is going to consume what proportion of Kaveri? And if we don't have thinking manpower, if critical thinking, constructive thinking doesn't go in taking the policy decisions, it will do lot of harm to our country at national level. And that's why it's important to have engineers that can think critically and add to the value of our national thought process. Thank you so very much for giving me this opportunity. Ma'am, it was a privilege to be present amongst all of you. And speaking after getting this opportunity to speak after Dr. Gaikar is also a very special opportunity. So really appreciate that, sir. Thank you so very much. I see a lot of hope in your eyes, and I'm very sure that you will turn out fantastic, brilliant engineers. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Abhyankar sir, for valuable insights and for sharing your vision with us. Your words have truly inspired for all of us. And as we gather here, today we are excited to officially launch STACK, Students Alliance of Club-Kharghar. STACK unites all students club to foster creativity, collaboration and innovation. Today marks the beginning of an exciting journey where we come together to create opportunities, learn and the growth. Let us introduce the executive team that will lead STACK with a dedication and the vision. Heading our associates, as a president, we have Pratha Jadhav here. I request Dr. G.V. Vilas Gaikar sir and Dr. Aditya Abhyankar sir to assign the badges to the Pratha Jadhav. Followed by our Vice President, Tejas Bhoyer. Who brings a strong focus on innovation and teamwork. Now the next is Bhavya Sharma. Will serve as a secretary. Ensuring smooth coordination and communication. And finally, handling our finances with a precious as a treasurer, we have Ishita Parkar here. I request all the badge holders to get a photo on that side. Next, we present the technical club dedicated to cultivating a technology-driven atmosphere and ensuring students remain informed about the latest developments in the field. At the helm in our technical club, head Aditya Chogle. Supporting him are our coordinators, Sarthak Matre, Tanvi Maurya, Parth Rane, Atharva Pose, Krishanu Srivastav. Now Parth Rane. Now Atharva Pose. Krishanu Srivastav. I request all the coordinator to be come on the stage so we can have a picture. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Now we are conducting trophy distribution ceremony.
Now we'll start the trophy distribution. For the first, we have Technical Club Trophy. That is for quiz competition. We have Shriraj, as he is not here. Krish Nandu will be taking the award on behalf of him. Now next we have trophy for the debate competition and the winner is Ishita Parkar. Now we'll be distributing the trophy for the sports club, the sports events which happened at 2nd and 3rd February. First we have cricket. So the winning team's captain is Omkar Gharke with the first prize. Give a big round of applause for the team and Omkar Gharke. Next we have football and the captain, that is Aditya Khaire and team. For badminton, in boys category, we have Arav Patil and Shubh Nagotkar. Arav will be taking the trophy. Next we have a badminton trophy in the girls category, that is Nishita Kadam. Next for the esports, we have winning team, that is Harsh Gawande. Next we have for the carom, that is Yash Vichare. The last trophy for the day, that is for the chess, that is Sujay Kharat. As we approach to the conclusion of today's event, I would now like to invite Dr. Rajendra Talware, the Registrar of Maharashtra State Skills University, to deliver the vote of thanks. Dr. Talware sir has always been the pillar of support to all of our endeavors. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, respected dais, Honorable Vice Chancellor Palkar Madam, my gurus, Dr. Aditya Abhyankar and Dr. V.G. Gaikar, from whom I learnt a lot. Happy Engineers Day to all, those who are completed their engineering degrees, then those who want to complete their engineering degrees, and those who are engineers doing something else and still keeping engineers alive. So, Happy Engineers Day to one and all, and the same to Pune students and faculty who joined online for this event. As we are towards conclusion of this program, I won't take much time because we do have two events back to back. You heard Vice President, you heard two dignitaries on the dais, you heard Governor, and then I won't speak much. We are in the second year of our operations. We are a very new university, but still we are making a significant impact. We are inviting great professors so that you can get encouraged, think, and as our ma'am always says, that develop thinking skills. So today, when I'm thinking about the event and the grand people and these speeches you heard, I just quote this: वो आए हमारे घर, खुदा की कुदरत है, कभी हम अपने घर को, कभी अपने खुदा को देखते हैं. Thank you one and all.